Today I'm going to explore the semiotics and narrative analysis of Tangled. Could Gothel really be the villain? I mean, sure, she kidnapped a baby princess, chained her up, manipulated her, and then also stabbed a guy who tried to rescue her. Yeah, not a villain at all, right?
Now look what you've done, Rapunzel.
I mean, maybe she had good intentions? We don't really get a good idea of Gothel's backstory, as the film mainly focuses on Rapunzel and portraying her as this innocent, helpless girl who becomes a confident hero. And the film is edited this way to manipulate the story to look like this, showing Rapunzel's best moments and Gothel's worst moments.
Knife!
When looking at the original opening ideas for Tangled, Gothel originally did own the flower and the king actually stole it from her. From the story that we watch, Gothel doesn't actually own the flower. She just discovers it and uses it for centuries to keep her young and healthy. The reason why Gothel doesn't own the flower in this version is to make Gothel more of a villain. Because if in Tangled Gothel did actually own the flower and the king stole it, that would make the king look bad, and the creators didn't want that. They wanted Gothel to look bad. As a consumer, the idea of Gothel being evil is hammered into you due to the lighting, the editing of the story, the way it's manipulated to make Gothel look bad. And also the music as well. When Gothel comes back to the tower and she's acting all crazy, there's some tense music happening right there. And with the lighting, I mean, in this scene here, you can see Gothel uses a green lantern, and the colour green is often associated with greed. And Gothel is portrayed as greedy by, kidnapping a baby for her own selfish desires. A lot of the scenes with Gothel also are often dark. She appears at night, and even when it's during the day, she takes the light away from Rapunzel, closing the doors and putting out the candles, whereas Rapunzel's biological parents provide light, because every year they do the whole lantern thing, and the entire kingdom actually provides light for Rapunzel, which she falls in love with as a child. Gothel was relatively good to Rapunzel to begin with, until Rapunzel, betrayed her and broke her heart.
She would be heartbroken, you're right.
We do get a short glimpse of Rapunzel's childhood, and in this time we can see Gothel actually being a good mother to Rapunzel. Gothel could have just chained Rapunzel up and used her magic hair as she pleased, but Gothel actually cares for Rapunzel.
I'm going to make hazelnut soup for dinner. Your favourite. Surprise!
Gothel doesn't have to go out of her way to provide Rapunzel with her favourite food, but she does.
What?
We also know that Gothel has educated Rapunzel well, since Rapunzel showcases all of her skills in a song at the beginning of the movie. Rapunzel can bake, sew, knit, do pottery, play chess. She can make candles, paint, read, and later on we find out that she can even chart stars.
I've charted stars and they're always constant.
I mean, I don't think Gothel taught her to do that, but Gothel must have taught her to do some of the things that Rapunzel can do, like baking, sewing. And furthermore, she's even willing to go on a 3-day trip just to get some paint for Rapunzel.
I love you very much, dear.
I love you more.
Charles Sanders Peirce was an American philosopher. Peirce's system has 3 types of signs: an icon, an index, and a symbol. An icon is something which resembles something else. So using an example from Tangled, we could say the wanted poster for Flynn Rider is an icon, because before we are even introduced to the character, we already know that he's wanted, he's a thief. A index sign is something that links to another thing through connection. For example, Gothel's love is for Rapunzel's hair, not Rapunzel herself. And we make that assumption from the way that Gothel is portrayed as a selfish character who desires immortality and youth and beauty. For a symbol, the meanings have to be learned. So, for example, the sun and its symbolism of vitality and fertility, that's something that the sun doesn't necessarily represent, it's just a sun, but it is something that a lot of people link with their own meanings. In this clip here, we can see Gothel literally taking flowers out of Rapunzel's hair, like she has been doing for years essentially, because she's taking the power of that flower out of Rapunzel's hair for her own desires. Except for Rapunzel, these flowers represent her time outside and the freedom that she had when she wasn't with Gothel. She was outside exploring the village and, you know, being happy for the first time in forever. And Gothel is taking that freedom away from Rapunzel.
It never happened.
But now Gothel is actually taking away Rapunzel's freedom by taking away what represents her freedom, which is the flowers in her hair. And Rapunzel is given that freedom back when she returns to the village after finding out her true identity. And Rapunzel puts this flower back in the girl's hair, and this little girl had the freedom that Rapunzel didn't have as a child. Throughout the movie, Gothel is repeatedly closing doors on Rapunzel, blocking out the light and stopping Rapunzel from leaving the tower. Because Gothel doesn't want Rapunzel to leave, because she loves the power that Rapunzel's hair holds. Whereas Rapunzel's biological parents are opening the doors for Rapunzel. Even when Rapunzel's not there, they still open the doors for Rapunzel, because they love Rapunzel and they want her back. In addition, ancient civilizations used the sun as a symbol of vitality and fertility. Now we can see this in the film at the beginning with fertility when the queen is pregnant. She uses the flower, which is a gift from the sun, to help her pregnancy along and, you know, heal her. And she has a baby. And the baby just so happens to have golden hair like the sun, whereas both parents don't even have blonde hair at all. They're both brunettes. And as for vitality, we watch Rapunzel as she goes through her journey become more independent and stronger. She uses the gift from the sun to her own benefit, and she uses it as a strength, which it is, you know, it can carry people. Both Flynn and Gothel use Rapunzel's hair to get into the tower at one point or another. So her hair is strong, but also Rapunzel herself is strong physically and mentally. I mean, you know, she was kidnapped, chained up, she watched the love of her life die, and she still ended up having a happy ending. And on that note, this is the end of Tangled and the end of this video.